response. But, what she would do in the meantime is bring them home. So I would show up, and there'd be like a new dog running around sniffing me. That was fun. And then she brought cats, and she did a lot of other stuff. And then more recently, we've helped, get dogs adopted out. I mean, we've had a number of them running around the governor's mansion that have been able to find good homes. They did, Casey and the kids rescued a couple mutts that the kids really like. So we do have those mutts permanently. I don't think the kids would let us adopt those out. And they're very, scraggly, kind of like left in the wild in Tallahassee in some urban area, and then they get and the kids love them. So we have that, and my kids, they're here somewhere with Kate, but I think they just like all the dogs. So I think they're looking at dogs. I don't think we're doing it. So we've done that, and so we know how important it is, and that's obviously the mission here of Big Dog Ranch. More than anyone has done such a great job. And part of it is just these are our friends. Like, it doesn't matter how bad everything's going on the outside world. You come home, man, that dog's going to be there for you and want to greet you. And they truly are man's best friend. And part of that is important. But I will tell you, they've had huge impacts on advancing policies, helping people in the community, and you name it. One of the things that I started doing very early on when I was first elected into office, 10 years ago or whenever it was recognize that we had a lot of military veterans that had a lot of mental health problems. And you saw veteran suicides. I mean, it's still something, that we grapple with. I mean, part of that is just the legacy of the GWOT, Global War on Terrorism, where you didn't have a draft. You had a small number of people, going over and over, Afghanistan, Iraq. It was tough. And it creates invisible wounds when you come back, and those are not as easy to deal with in many respects as the physical wounds. And I think what the VA did for many years was just say, it can all be solved with pharmaceuticals. So, okay, you have this, write a script. Well, that did not work for many veterans. And honestly, I think a lot of people that I've talked to in the community think it contributed to the suicides. But one of the things that worked was pairing the veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress with a specially trained service dog. So you had these organizations. We had one up where I was in Ponte Vedra Beach, Canines for Warriors. They would train them, and then they would pair them. And I will tell you, they had a very low suicide rate once that happened. So we had a lot of veterans that were advocates for that. The VA was pushing back. They didn't want to embrace it. Finally, legislation was passed forcing their hand where they had to do that, and it's had a very positive impact. We also, my first year in office, signed Senate Bill 388 to authorize emergency service vehicles to transport injured police canines to a veterinary clinic so that they can get the care they need to recover if there's no individual requiring medical attention. So EMTs and paramedics can now provide emergency medical care to an injured police canine at the scene of an emergency or while the canine is being transported. And so that obviously has helped save lives. We also signed Senate Bill 96 to increase the penalty from third-degree felony to second-degree for intentionally and knowingly causing great bodily harm, disability, or death to police, canines, or horses, fire canines, or search and rescue canines. Again, very appropriate to be able to do. A lot of these law enforcement would not be able to do their jobs without these canines. Huge force multiplier, definitely save lives. I mean, I remember being over in Iraq. You'd see the handler come in with it, and they would have like training where you'd have like a big thing on your arm, but man, they just say boom, and that dog boom, got it and just subdued. And so you're talking about a terrorist in a man dress or something. You get that canine on those guys, man, they freak out, and like you've neutralized the threat. They also go and sniff for IEDs and ferret out the explosives. So there's a whole bunch of things, and of course with narcotics here at home, they do that. We also signed HB 1047 to increase criminal penalties for harming, harassing, or willfully resisting an animal working with police officers, firefighters, or search and rescue. When we say back the blue, we include our police canines. They do protect handlers. They do have unique skills that keeps all of us more safe. We've also fought tirelessly to protect animals and hold animal abusers accountable. Just this past year, I signed Trooper's Law and Dexter's Law. I think we signed them right here at Big Dog Ranch. So Trooper was left on the side of the road when Hurricane Milton was getting ready to come on shore in the west central Florida area. And the water was rising. The owner abandoned the dog. I don't know why you would abandon the dog on the side of the road like that in the middle of a hurricane, and so was saved by one of our highway patrol troopers, and obviously probably would not have survived had that not happened. Dexter's Law was passed after a dog was brutally killed just days after adoption. It's now a sentencing multiplier for anyone torturing, mutilating, or killing a dog. We also created an online database of those convicted of animal abuse so shelters know to not let these people adopt pets. I mean, honestly, that's something you want to know about, like a neighbor too. I mean, like, you know, if they're willing to do that to dogs, I mean, that's probably not somebody that you would be trustworthy on a lot of other things. So we've done a lot of really big things. I think we've been very forward thinking on all this stuff, you know, but throughout all this, you know, there have been concerns about, you know, some of these breeding practices, some of these puppy mills, you know, that are going on throughout the country, but including in the state of Florida. And now many breeders take care of their animals and treat them with dignity and respect. No doubt there are some bad actors who keep these animals in inhumane conditions, and we want to put an end to that type of practice in the state of Florida. So we're proposing that in the upcoming legislative session next year, that the Florida legislature tackle new legislation, you know, to end these inhumane practices. We propose partnering with Commissioner Simpson and the Florida Department of Agriculture to develop best practices so that we have ethical dog breeding in the state of Florida. We also will seek the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation to license dog breeders and be able to hold them accountable for abusive conditions like cramming multiple dogs in small cages, limiting their access to water, overbreeding, or leaving them out and exposed to extreme elements. You know, Big Dog Ranch, they have all this place to play and run and everything like that, and like this is obviously kind of Shangri-La for dogs looking to be adopted. And so not everyone can do that, but obviously you got to do enough. We will establish a hotline for individuals to call and report animal abuse by breeders to better crack down on bad actors. We also want to require pet stores to offer space to local shelters for adoption before they use space to sell dogs from the puppy mills. Now, most of the stores, brands, I think, do that now, but not all of them. Why would we not want to be focusing on helping find these dogs homes that are in a shelter? That should be the priority one for everything that we're doing with respect to dogs. We will also seek to protect consumers from predatory practices when it comes to purchasing dogs and increasing transparency to ensure people are not being roped in to usurious financial agreements. When families adopt or purchase a dog, we will ensure that veterinarians are providing an accurate bill of health, that there is accountability for what is signed off on with these medical statements. Shelters across the state face overcrowding, and being able to profile these animals at pet stores will help save them from being euthanized. Finally, we'll have additional legislation that provides for increased penalties for individuals who abuse or torture animals in front of a minor, which can very much scar the minor and potentially cause harm going forward for them. So I think a lot of people have been talking about a lot of the things that I just mentioned for a number of years. It always seems like the public supports it, and then some way it gets killed here, gets killed there, whatever. We want to make sure that we're able to get this done. I think it'll be good for Florida. I think it'll be good for everybody, but it'll particularly be good for man's best friend. So we're going to get the job done, and I want to thank everybody who has joined us in this effort. I know we've got a lot of great legislators who are very passionate about this project, and I know they'll be working very hard in both the House and the Senate to be able to do something very robust. And my hope is that we will be able to reconvene here at Big Dog Ranch and do 2 years in a row of really good bill signings to protect our dogs. Okay, Wilton.